A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, hello. Wow.
Welcome, friends of the show. We are back with another episode of the Serious Rock Talk podcast.
Ooh, all right.
A big thanks for your emails, suggestions, and your support on our social media platforms. Continue to email us at seriousrocktalk@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Listen to a new show every week. Just tune in each Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. New York City time on Cap City Beats, located at www.capcitybeats.ca. Okay, buckle up for some serious rock talk. I'm one of your hosts, co-creators, co-conspirator, the man to the right of me today in the studio.
Yes.
Co-wrote songs with Robert Hunter and Robert Charlebois.
Not many people know that. But, no, it's true, and I'm proud of it, and I'll stand by it, and I pay tax on that, too.
And I want to know, Ian, with Robert Charlebois, how many cigarettes were smoked in the studio and how many tabarnaks were thrown on there?
It was like non-filter smoking, too, in those days.
Was it in Quebec City or Montreal?
Yeah, it was both. Yeah, it was both. And I think he's a wonderful human being. Actually, Robert Charlebois is an interesting cat. I've always liked him. He's, I think he got into a brewery, didn't he? He owns a brewery or something?
I believe he does own a brewery in Quebec. I don't quite know the name. I think it's craft beer. Unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of craft beer. I kind of like the domestic stuff. So.
Yeah.
Give me a Bud Light, give me a Miller, give me a Coors Light, a Canadian, a Blue Light. Oh,
I know,
God.
craft is complicated.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, what's up today, dude?
So today, considering I've always been inspired, and as people know, I started taking drums in 2020, and I'm starting to progress. I'm nowhere near as close to these gentlemen we're going to talk to today. But today, we are doing Drummers,
Okay.
a serious rock talk presentation presented to you by Kennedy and Clark. And I'm going to quote a man that said this. The drummer, in my opinion, is irreplaceable. In other words, if the drummer was removed, would the band be able to carry on at the same level? Would the song sound the same? Without a doubt, the drummer is the soul of the band.
Who said that?
None other than Dr. Ian Clark.
Thank you very much. I have a fan base of one anyway. It's true, and I hold by that. It's people always remember the old joke. What do you call a drummer without a girlfriend? Homeless. Yeah, and the fact that it's so well known that it's painful for me. But I look at all the great rock bands that I've loved, over the years. They always have a great drummer. He's not some guy just literally marking time. So I think they're the unsung heroes of rock and roll.
Wow. What does a drummer do when he messes up a beat?
What?
Looks angry at the bassist.
Yeah, that's a great one.
My drum teacher, Chuck, told me that, and he said to me, he goes, use that one. Happy birthday, Nick Mason.
That's true. It's a good one.
All right, so, Ian, without further ado,
Yes.
I need you
Yes.
to talk about the first gentleman who actually is considered prog when he started.
Well, I'm going to talk about Mr. Philip Collins. Before I do you know Phil Collins actually was in a Beatle movie? He was an extra, and I think in Hard Day's Night. So I just want to lead with that. No one knows that, and he's kind of irritated that no one knows it. But he's in like 4 microseconds in a crowd scene. Anyway, kind of neat that Phil Collins is in a Beatle film. Phil Collins is a great drummer. His huge problem is he was so into his own admission. He was so ridiculously overexposed during the 1980s that Roger Waters of Pink Floyd famously said, I'm tired of the omnipresence of Phil Collins in my life. And I know exactly how he feels. He was so everywhere, especially when the album Face Value came out. But he's a great drummer, and he was very influential. And not just for proggy, for rock and roll and heavy metal. What can be said about him? Unfortunately, he has trouble now with his health, and he can't drum anymore. But he's still around. He's still going. His son's in his band, and he sings. I was never crazy about his voice, to tell you the truth, but he's a wonderful drummer. Phil Collins.
His son, Simon Collins, was actually born in Vancouver.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he had a song called, I think it was called Pride. I forget the name of it. It came out in the mid to late 90s. Yeah.
So Simon is a drummer too, and
I don't know if he's a drummer, but he had his own
band or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Simon Collins. The next drummer,
Yes.
Lars Ulrich. Now, did you know that his father and his grandfather were both tennis players? So you think he would have followed suit?
Yeah, really.
No, he did the other choice. He decided to go be the drummer for, I don't know, one of the best American heavy metal bands of all time called Metallica. Co-founded it with James Hetfield. He actually basically changed the drum technique in a fast thrash drum beat. And you could catch that from a couple of his songs. Well, a couple of his songs, all the songs really. Metal Militia from Kill 'Em All. Fight Fire with Fire from Ride the Lightning. Battery and Damage Inc. from Masters the Puppet. So
who's up next on the list?
one of my heroes,
Who's
Ian. I think you like him too. Dave Grohl.
Davey Grohl. Okay.
David Grohl, multi-instrumentalist and founder, frontman, and lead vocals for the Foo Fighters, who actually were inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last year. Funny, he sits on the
I was going to
board.
say, come on, talk about a
Do
conflict.
you think he got up and said, "Hey guys, I'll just step outside"?
Yeah, really, a good point. There is something a little weird about that. But what do I think of Foo Fighters? I tell you the truth, I was always impressed more with Nirvana. I always thought that they were one of those kind of game-changing bands. I don't think the Foo Fighters, in my book, aren't a game changer. They're good entertainers, and that's why they tour so much. With their drummer now deceased, I don't know how that's gonna. But what kind of magic he added to the live show? Probably a lot. But they always struck me, the Foos, as a live band. Like they're good at that kind of arena rock.
Well, they're a stable garage band,
Yeah.
and they take the garage with them wherever they go. Who's going to tour with them? They're looking at funny, talking about drummers. Rufus Taylor is one of them, the son of
interesting.
the next drummer we're going to talk about, and they even talks with the original drummer William Goldsmith.
Oh, interesting, eh?
So I don't know. I'm a Taylor guy. I miss Taylor, and he's one of the reasons why I took drums.
Oh, you went into depression when he died.
Pretty well. I did exactly like you did when Charlie Wilkes passed away.
Yeah, it hurts, doesn't
We
it?
spoke, and you said to me, Kennedy, this one hurts.
That one hurt.
And
yeah.
then when, March 25th, 2022 happened, I called you,
Yeah,
and you
that's
said,
true.
and I said to you, I go, Ian, I'm going to quote you right now. This one hurts.
Yeah, you did.
For me,
That's
because
true.
we grew up in different times, and this is it, right?
Yeah, some people, you don't have to know them. It doesn't matter. It still hurts. And yeah, Charlie Watts hurt. We'll get to him. Roger Meadows Taylor. Like, I don't know why I'm reading the middle name. Roger Taylor. Yeah, whoever calls. Okay, so I said we're not reading off a traffic violation here. Roger Meadows Taylor.
Why Meadows? That's so.
It's very British, though, isn't it? Excuse me, Meadows, sit down, will you?
But don't mix him up with Roger Taylor from Duran Duran.
Maybe that's why they do it. No one's mixing them up. Yeah, as you know out there in podcast land, yeah, he was with a little-known band called Queen. But, great drummer, by the way, but he wrote some great stuff with Queen, and he was very influential. He collaborated with people like, I don't know, Eric Clapton, Roger Waters, Roger Daltrey, Robert Plant, Phil Collins, Genesis, Elton John, Gary Newman, Shakin' Stevens. We should do a show on Shakin' Stevens sometimes. The Foo Fighters, Al Stewart, Steve Vai, Cindy, I don't know her, Alamuzny, Bon Jovi, I heard of him. And he produced people. He's Mr. Music, and he's a great drummer, and he should be on anyone's list.
Read the last sentence, Ian.
I'll try to. Taylor also did the drums for Freddie Mercury's solo work projects, where he flew to Munich to help out his friend. Good for him, you know.
Oh, I love it. I wish our audience would see your reaction. His face, his gestures are the best.
No, I'm okay with it. I just don't. Okay, well, we'll just keep going. I got an issue with Queen, ladies and gentlemen. I think slightly overrated. I was there when they were hot, and amazing band, but the fire's burning still a little too brightly. Anyway, who's next? Oh, your buddy.
My hero, best known as the drummer for John Mellencamp, or as Ian would call him, Melonhead.
Melonhead, thank
Kenny
you.
Aronoff, for 17 years, was Mellencamp's drummer, and he got inspired. And this is also a quote from his book. In 1964, when watching the Beatles on none other than the Ed Sullivan Show.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Fast forward 50 years, though, he actually got the opportunity to perform with Sir Paul and, is it Sir Ringo, I guess?
I hope not. Yeah, it is.
During a CBS special called The Night That Changed America. So, obviously, Aronoff, he is one of these legendary, I guess, session drummers.
I
touring drummers.
I think of him as a session guy extraordinaire.
Yeah, so he's been in the music industry for his whole career. He performed with the Rolling Stones, Lady Gaga, Bruno Mars, Sting, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, Bob Seger, Dave Grohl, Elton John, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, John Bon Jovi, Steve Tyler, The Smashing Pumpkins, B.B. King, Rod Stewart, and none other than John Fogerty. Whew! He's also associated with the Bodines, Chickenfoot, Jerry Lee Lewis, Cinderella, and most notably, John Mellencamp.
He's just like a modern-day Hal Blaine.
Look at this. He even recorded with Melissa Etheridge, Avril Lavigne, Celine Dion. Hey, that's back-to-back Canadians. Alicia Keys, Brad Paisley, John Legend, Joe Walsh.
Okay,
Michelle Branch,
already.
Pharrell Williams, and Brandon Flowers.
From the Killers. I mean, you do make mistakes, but I mean, easily the hardest-working drummer in show business. He is fantastic.
And next on the list is another one of Kennedy's favorites. So obviously, for those of you that know me, yes, Grohl is on my list. Aronoff is on my list. But hey, why not Tommy Lee?
Well, you like him because of that movie he was in, right?
Him and Pam did a documentary.
Okay.
It was a Canadian documentary. I think it was filmed out in Alberta.
Well, it was a travelogue, as I recall.
I think it was from Cold Lake, Alberta.
Yeah, there was a boat or something. Yeah. I remember that it was on TV.
They took the the Rocky Mountaineer train. Yeah. So why not like Tommy Lee? Like, he's Methods of Mayhem, had a solo career with DJ Arrow. Has been with Motley Crue ever since. Has never left. He's even got a new band called Guns and Toilet Paper. That's what
no way.
I swear to God, there's this guy that's performing. I don't know his name. So the lead singer is walking around with like a Dead Mouse 5 look, where he's got a bike helmet.
Oh no! And it's called Guns and Toilet Paper.
Guns and Toilet Paper. Listen,
God.
Everyone knows Tommy Lee, that he is a hard worker. He never stops. He's got the traditional roller coaster drum set. Okay. He was touring with a broken rib. The doctor says rest. He's like, no, it's good. He'll just take some Jack Daniels and continue going.
Right.
Like, that is a true working man's hero. Okay, he is the man of the people, and not all heroes wear capes, and Tommy Lee is one of them. So next on the list,
oh, your buddy
Taylor Hawkins, obviously, as everyone knows, and for those of you that been listening to the show, we did an in memoriam piece on one of Kennedy's corners. And he's one of those drummers known as the late great drummer of the Foo Fighters. He was chiefly influenced by Phil Collins, Stuart Copeland, Roger Taylor, Steve Perkins, your buddy Jim Gordon, and Neil Peart.
That's a pretty good mix. Taylor Hawkins also had a good voice. He could really sing, And it wasn't just, well, we'll give Ringo a song here. He could actually really sing.
He could sing, and believe it or not, Ian, here's something trivial. He was the drummer for both Sass Jordan and Alanis Morissette.
Oh, that's bizarre, isn't it?
Back-to-back Canadian female powerhouse rockers.
Isn't that the way he got discovered? Someone heard him with Sass Jordan, or there was some kind of tie-in.
So he got introduced to Dave Grohl by Alanis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's how it started. And it just so happened that William Goldsmith, unfortunately, got let go, and Dave was looking for a drummer.
So Dave can Goldsmith.
Yeah. And now I think I was reading an article that actually Goldsmith will come back.
Just bizarre.
Next on the list, another one of my personal favorites.
Chad Gaylord.
Smith.
Come in sit down, Gaylord, and tap a few.
But what is with that name, Ian? You have a lot of knowledge and studied a lot of literature. With these types of names, are they Old English, Old American?
That's Old English, Gaylord. But when you put it, Chad Smith. When you call him Gaylord, again, it sounds like a arrest report. You've been charged with violating, what?
So obviously everyone knows Chad Smith looks like Will Ferrell, but he is not Will Ferrell. He has actually been placed at on Spin Magazine has placed him at number 10 of 100 of their greatest drummers of alternative music in 2013.
Oh, alternative music. Okay.
So this is interesting because we always criticize Rolling Stones lists, which sometimes we wonder where they get this information.
Yeah.
At least Spin's got something. I got to read that 100.
I'm okay. I mean, that's a little more refined. Like 10, 100 greatest drummers of all time. These are all drummers or something. Yeah, I like that. Where you make it a little more refined.
So he's actually, I think, the second or third drummer of the Chili Peppers. I believe the second, and he's been there since '88. He also has side projects, which is Chad Smith's Boombastic Meat Bats. He has Chicken Foot, and his influences, Ian, you're going to like this one.
Yeah.
Ian Pace, Mitch Mitchell,
Oh, wow.
Bill Ward, legendary John Bonham, Buddy Rich, Ginger Baker, Roger Taylor. I wonder if that's the Duran Duran one.
It must be.
Topper Henderson,
Oh.
Keith Moon, Stuart Copeland, and Neil Peart.
Okay. I mean, in other words, everybody pretty well.
I know Neil Peart's almost on everyone's list.
I know. I have to kind of put him there. But actually, we'll get to Neil Peart pretty soon. Anyway.
All right, so what's the next one?
Well, this is probably my favorite drummer of all time. And I put him on this list.
No, you did.
Liberty DeVito. Best known as Billy Joel's longtime. Okay, obviously, folks, I was totally coerced and pressurized into
It's my
even reading
fault.
this. It was your fault.
I did.
My God, what do I know about this guy? Billy Joel's really known for his drums. Boy, that band really kicks.
You think it's biasm why I put him on the list?
He's the Liberty DeVito. I would think his Italian heritage has something to do with it. But he's a good drummer. But to put him beside, I know, Ginger Baker. Okay, all right.
But look, he was influenced again, like Kenny Aronoff, by watching the famous Ed Sullivan Show in 1964.
Shut up. Everybody was, even if you weren't born. I'm going to handle the next one. Ringo Starr. Okay, he wasn't technically great, but he was an interesting drummer. Ringo, I have huge issues with. Ringo Starr, for me, is a great entertainer. He's the best entertainer of the Beatles. He's McCartney's wooden live, right? John Lennon always looks kind of uncomfortable live. George Harrison always looked like he wished he was somewhere else. Ringo likes being an entertainer. He's good at talking to crowds and stuff. And I think of him that way, not so much as a drummer. I know it's going to shock. Hopefully you're not driving a car right now. You're going off the road. But I never thought of Ringo Starr as a great drummer. And now people always listen to Rain or listen to Ticket to Ride or Come Together. Yeah, I have. I'm still saying he's not a great drummer. He's interesting, but he was a Beatle, right? So, of course, he's going to be a zillionaire guy that jets around and has his own all-star band. I'm sorry. I just don't take him, put him beside Phil Collins. I don't know. Who's a better drummer? I just don't get it.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Who's a better drummer, Ringo Starr or Liberty DeVito?
Shut up.
Answer the question.
I'm going to say Ringo only because I don't know enough of Liberty's opus. I mean, when he does that 5-minute drum solo in Piano Man, right?
I'm sorry. I had to throw that in there, right? You got to throw some humor in there, right?
That was pretty good.
No, but putting joke aside, he's up there. He wrote a book.
He wrote a book, My Lucky Life. I mean, next up, Keith Moon. Yeah, Keith Moon, technically sloppy. Somebody once said, did Keith Moon ever play the song the same way twice? No, he was incapable of doing it. Second thing, when you listen to The Who live, Keith Moon timing is usually all over the place. He wasn't kind of pitch perfect, so to speak. But was he important? Yeah, his style of playing, frantic style of playing, matched the frantic style of The Who. How important was he? Okay, Keith Moon died, I think, 78. When Keith Moon died, The Who was over. So you tell me he wasn't important. Because The Who, they continued recording. And it all downhill from Keith Moon. They peaked with Who's Next with Keith Moon. Yeah. Wah, wah, wah. That was it. And it was over. So, yeah, other words, he was an integral part of The Who. So, it's over. John Densmore's next. John Densmore's drawing was so unique that Elvis commented on it. Elvis usually didn't comment on anything like that, but he loved John Densmore's drumming because it was really interesting. All those samba beats and weirdly weird time signatures on rock songs, and it stood out. John Densmore's sound was very influential on the Doors' sound. There's no getting around it. He was a great drummer, still is. Who's next?
Well, none other than John Bonham.
John Bonham, yeah.
So Jimmy Page wrote heavy rock songs and he needed a heavy drummer. Well, that was a good choice.
Really.
Listen to When the Levee Breaks, Kashmir, or Moby Dick. Was he a necessary element for Led Zeppelin?
Really?
Yeah, because look what happened when he died. Page, Plant, and Paul Jones just shut the band down.
I think that's the way to go.
And that was it.
I think The Who should have done that when Keith Moon kicked. I think that's just... Yeah, because after he went, Led Zeppelin was getting a little thin at the top, too. I thought it was time to go anyway. But, yeah, they did the right thing by shutting down.
Well, the next one, the other band should have did the same thing.
Yeah, when Charlie Watts died, okay, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, they were talking to, or interviewing Keith Richards. He said, yeah, when Charlie leaves, that's it. Well, they didn't do that, did they? They kept going. And they're still going, and you're going to have to blow a dart into their neck or a stake in the heart. They're going to go till one of them drops, the Glimmer Twins. And I saw a YouTube video of them recently live, and I know Keith doesn't know where he is. They're just pointing him toward the audience. They just pull the plug. Is it so hard?
Do you think they need the money, though?
I think they're really impoverished. I think someone told me Keith Richards could buy Portugal if he wanted to. It's just, it gives them a high and a rush, I know, but I guess I remember the way they were. I know it's okay, but it's also not okay. Charlie Watts was the soul of the band, and he's gone, so it's over. Oh, poor, next is Levon Helm, the late, great Levon Helm from Arkansas. 1/5 of the band, the rest of them are Canadian boys. And he had a great voice. Levon Helm, and he was rock solid as a drummer. I don't know if he's a great drummer, but he was rock solid.
I think he's an integral part of rock history.
Oh yeah.
The way he would sing and play.
Not easy.
It's not easy.
No.
Henley, Grohl could do it. He did it.
Good point.
Who else? There's one more that did it.
Well, Ringo did. No.
Well, yeah, okay, on a song. Taylor Hawkins was able to do it.
Yeah, it's not easy. And Karen Carpenter did it. I mean, hey. But, yeah, Levon Helm was a big part of the band. And he actually was influential in some of the songs that were written, like The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down.
Virgil Kane is a name.
And I drove on the... Yeah. Next up is Ginger Baker. Ginger Baker with Cream, of course, Jack Bruce, and who was his name? Eric Clapton, I think.
A buddy of yours.
But my buddy. And he was, okay, I can go on the limb here. I think Ginger Baker was the first kind of high-profile rock drummer 1968. Before that, I'm thinking through my memory tubes here. I can't really pull out a rock drummer like stood out like that before 1968. Folks, write to me if you can think of one. He was really the first. Well, not so much. Ringo didn't stand it. Ringo was a member of a group, but Ginger Baker was known for these incredible rhythms he got, these real tribal things, and he had an interesting drum setup. But he wasn't busy, so to speak. I'll get to some busy drummers later with busy setups. Ginger Baker wasn't like that.
So we're not going to put the guy at the Turtles there, right?
Yeah, really good point. Name him. I think he had double toms or something a little weird. Look, there are only three guys, and when you're a trio, you have to make a lot of noise. You're playing stadium, so that's part of it too. Who's up next?
Your buddy, Clem
Clem
Burke.
Burke. Okay, I don't know if any of you out there have seen Blondie. I have a few times. Once in their prime, I actually worked as security for them in 1979. And Clem Burke, he must lose 3 or 4 pounds of water every night. And I saw them again 30 years later. And he says, I don't know how it is. He hasn't aged. His energy is the same. He is the heartbeat behind Blondie. No Clem Burke, no Blondie. He is really important. Oh, and next up on our list, Jim Gordon. Jim Gordon is an interesting cat in the 1960s drumming, kind of a version of Hal Blaine. He's on Pet Sounds with the Beach Boys. He's with Byrds, Everly Brothers, Zappa, Traffic, of course, Steve Winwood, George Harrison, never heard of him, Blenny and Bonnie, of course, and Eric Clapton. It was with Derek of the Dominoes, and he wrote the back end of Layla. So he's always in my good books. And yes, he suffered mental illness, and he has been incarcerated for a crime for many, many years. But it's very sad. But he was a very gifted guy. Who's up next?
Well, you're going to do the traffic violation thing, so we're going to go with Travis Landon Barker.
Interesting name. Sounds like a cowboy name.
Well, he's best known as a drummer for the rock band Blink-182, which actually has a Vegas residency. And they're also touring, as they say in Nova Scotia.
Okay, you're touring. Okay.
Obviously performed as a frequent collaborator with hip-hop artists. Is also a member of the rock group called The Transplants. He founded the rock bands Plus 44 and Boxcar Racer. Okay, Boxcar Racer is pretty well 2/3 of Blink-182, so it sounds the same. Right. But interesting enough, here's something that you might appreciate. Rolling Stone referred to him as punk's first superstar drummer, as well as one of the 100 greatest drummers of all time. Now that's
a big admission for Rolling Stone.
I will tip my hat to them.
Yeah, that's a big admission. That must have hurt.
The next one we have is Alex Van Halen.
I think I've heard of him.
Born in Amsterdam, actually. Older brother of legendary guitarist, the late, great Eddie Van Halen.
Yep.
Believe it or not, both him and his brother were introduced to playing piano due to an upbringing of a Netherlands-born family.
Right.
Both formed the band called Mammoth before.
Yeah, I know. That's funny, eh?
Van Halen. And here's the most interesting thing. He was traditionally a guitarist, and Eddie was actually a drummer, and they switched it.
I know.
They mastered it flawlessly.
It's cool trivia.
And I want our listeners... or not want, I ask you, if you have the chance, go to the album of Diver Down and listen to the song Intruder, the Intruder intro on Van Halen's album, Diver Down.
It's good, is it?
It's solid.
Okay. Who's Stuart Copeland of the Police? Stuart Copeland is a very gifted drummer, and he laid down some very unique drum patterns for the Police. I call it kind of like I don't know, faux reggae or something. I'm not sure what their thing was, but he's a gifted guy, and he's after the Police. He did some stuff. Don't you have an obscure album by him?
Yeah, Clark Kent.
Yeah, I mean, who knows this? This is amazing.
My drum teacher did.
Yeah, it's what I say. So in other words, 2 guys in the city know about it. Now I do. It's just he's an interesting cat, and still around, still influential.
It's actually a good album. It's unique. It's green, which is funny because I got it on vinyl.
Oh, interesting.
And it's a 10-inch.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. When I first got this album, I heard about it through Dave Grohl interview. And when Dave Grohl got into drumming, someone passed him this album of Clark Kent. And he didn't know what it was. And he listened to it, and it influenced him.
Oh, interesting.
So obviously Dave Grohl had
Yeah.
influence of Stuart Copeland. So that I got into it, and I found it. It took me forever, and I found it actually in the Netherlands, of all places. I found it in the Netherlands. And when I got it, I messaged a couple of people, and right away I said to my drum teacher, I said, Chuck, I got Clark Kent. He goes, oh yeah, Stuart Copeland's solo album. Right away.
Oh, so drummers know it.
Drummers will know it for sure. Johnny the Cat, unfortunately, thought I was teasing him. He thought it was a Superman thing. So,
God bless Johnny.
the next one is the Canadian
Yes.
Neil Peart. Peart. How did I pronounce this poor man's name?
Peart.
Peart. So, ask just about any rock drummer who their influences are, and chances are Rush's Neil Peart will be high on the list. Sometimes referred to as the Professor.
The professor.
With his technically demanding, precise, and deeply complex rhythmic style. And few rock drummers scaled in the heights that Peart did both on record and on stage. Okay, here's something, and it aggravates my drum teacher and it aggravates me. You do not need 36 drum pieces on your kit. You don't need a keyboard drum piece.
You shut your filthy sewer. He's a god. Yeah, I agree.
Rush they're great musicians. And that's what we've agreed on.
Yeah.
They're
There's
great
no-
musicians.
they're
We'll
great
never take
musicians.
it away from them.
No.
Do they belong in the Rock Hall? Yes.
Yeah, they do. They do.
They do. Because Alex Lifeson, the way he did guitar lyrics
Yeah.
and the songwriting, actually, Neil wrote a lot of the songs.
He was a Mr. Lyrics, too. Yeah.
So, yes, they belong in the Rock Hall. But Neil did not need 600 drum pieces. It took like a week and a half to set them up.
I know he had keyboards he tapped on back there. I just think it went too far with it. It got tedious. Sorry. I've never enjoyed. Listen, I'll be frank. There are a few Rush songs I can handle if I'm chained down, but I just think he went too far with, how could I say this, with the paraphernalia almost, with the outline little not machines he used. He had really interesting setups, but it was more of a technician. I don't know if that adds soul to the music and feeling. You know, I was okay with a basic Ringo setup if you've got soul and feeling, and you can make the music move. Maybe you could argue Rush's music needed that. I don't know, but it's not. How can you debate that? It's just opinion. But when you look at what he had set up, I mean, he had an army of equipment, and it did nothing for me. So again, it's all opinions, personally.
5-piece is what my drum teacher says. I added a 6-piece, which I added an extra tom.
Yeah.
I saw the Sheepdogs in concert, the opening act called Boy Golden. The drummer only had a snare, floor tom, and the bass drum, which had a ride and crash cymbal, and he had the hi-hat, thank God. And then the drummer of the Sheepdogs had everything minus a tom 2, so he had a 4-piece. Is
Interesting.
that the Ringo set? 4?
Yeah, I think Ringo's 4.
Buddy Rich was 4.
Yeah, Rich was never flowery with his stuff, and again, it's the feeling and technique. So maybe your buddy Rick Allen's like that.
Well, Rick Allen, better known as the Thunder God and the driving force to the British rock band Def Leppard.
Def Leppard. Yeah.
Since '78, Allen has been playing drums, being with Def Leppard for his whole career, and having none other than Mutt Lange produce a few albums that will get you somewhere, especially in the Rock Hall of Fame. The band has made history, though, when it came to success, courtesy of Mutt Lange. '84, Allen lost his arm in a car accident, and since that day, he reinvented himself as becoming one of the greats. Allen uses a modified kit with foot pedals to assist in the beats, which, come on, you got to give the guy a break, and has also become an inspirational individual and brought drumming to a different level. One of his quotes is, "What I've experienced through losing my arm, I wouldn't change. The human spirit is so strong."
Yeah, power to him. I mean, he's a drummer who lost an arm, and he still drums in a professional band. It's pretty good.
6 months. It
Yeah.
took him 6 months to... He put
Really,
himself
to
on a
get back.
6-month table to get back to the studio to record, because they were on a clock for an album, which killed it.
Have you heard about that rumor that somebody else helps out in the studio? Is there any belief in that, do you think?
I would have to say someone may help out.
Yeah.
maybe now because he's a little bit older.
A bit older, yeah.
And so what if someone helped him out? It doesn't change anything. He's still an inspirational guy. He's still moved on.
Very true. No. And finally, folks, in closing, I'm going to talk about a guy that I regard as one of the gods, Hal Blaine. He was a studio guy of the 60s, and he's ridiculously prolific. We could talk about Kenny Arnoff. Like, he set the mold, Hal Blaine. And when you read about who he played with, you almost have to have a breath of pure oxygen to get through it. But I'll try. Bear with me. Okay, this is a partial list of the busiest men in show business. America, Paul Anka, The Association, Frank Avalon, Hoyt Axton, Beach Boys, Graham Bond, Pat Boone, The Byrds, J.J. Cale, Glenn Campbell, Captain and Tennille, The Carpenters, Mel Carter, Johnny Cash, Ray Charles, Cher, Petulia Clark, Leonard Cohen, Sam Cooke, Bobby Darin, Neil Diamond, Dwayne Eddie, Everly Brothers, Jose Feliciano, Leslie Gore, Grassroots, Emmylou Harris, Thelma Houston, Jan and Dean, John Lennon, Jerry Lewis, Love, the Mamas and Papas, Henry Mancini, and Margaret, Bobby Darin, I said, the Monkees, Chris Montez, Jack Nietzsche, Ori Orbison, Elvis Presley, I've heard him, Gary Bucket, Union Gap, Paul Revere and the Raiders, Johnny Rivers, and Tommy Rowe. That's a partial list. Like, I got dizzy saying that. It's unbelievable how prolific he was, and a humble guy, too. I can also add in Frank Sinatra. That's what's capable if you're a hard worker. I'd say half with show business is just showing up. And he did a great sessions. Take a listen to Strangers in the Night with Frank Sinatra, and how subtle and beautiful and important the drumming is on that song. Well, that's Hal Blaine. So that'll give you an indication of where we're at with it.
That was a fantastic show, and I want to.
It was fun.
Time today, and thank you, Dr. Clark, for
thank
helping produce this fantastic show. Drummers is good.
I know drums are it's a close subject of yours, and in the future we're going to help. Perhaps you can provide some intro, maybe a roll or something, and
I'd be more than happy to do that for us, absolutely. And I guess that's all we have on the clock today.
That's all we have, and thanks very much for listening today or tomorrow, and we'll see you soon. How's that?
So, Ferris Kennedy saying goodbye.
Dr. Ian Clark saying bonjour, au revoir, wherever you are.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow.